get the gist of it. So I say that to also say that, you have to, as you grow up, you have to understand that people change, and we understand that he changed. But you also have to understand and recognize those who are in your corner. This being one, this me not knowing about this incident, his illness. There was another incident that this same buddy of mine, my brother, he's still my brother, where he did something very hurtful to me. And I never forgot it, but I forgave it. And for me, I thought that after that incident, he had enough respect for me to not put me in that kind of position again, where I get some last minute information to another brother who's dear to me as well, who's in the same crew, who actually I could hear the anger and the hurt in his voice through what could have been tears. He actually stood to my buddy's defense and said, "You can't talk about him like that. He was our brother, and he is our brother, and he is, but he slighted us. He slighted us." Now, there are going to be some folks that'll see this, and they'll feel like I shouldn't have said anything. But I feel like I can say something because nothing was said to me about what was going on. Nothing was said to none of my other brothers. I so want to name them, but I think I need to kind of respect have boundaries of respect for whether or not then that could be hurtful. But he did it. He did it. Brothers, we have to stand up as men and not allow egos, not allow mishaps, not allow just little personal things to get in your way of spending time with the ones you love. This is one of those things where, and I might be rambling a little bit because I'm kind of out of sorts with how this is making me feel. One of the brothers in the house gang crew, he immediately said, don't involve him in the celebration at this point. And we were very upset with him. We felt some kind of way about it. But after talking to, they want to be addressed this way. I'm sure my brother, who's extremely upset and expressed, the not including him in the celebration, will make himself known. And here's what's even funny. The same guy that's suffering from this ailment, many years ago, he said to me about the brother who is not celebrating him in his time of need, that him and I should learn to see eye to eye, because me and this brother didn't get along. We couldn't get along for anything. Fast forward all these years later, and he's one that I talk to more than I talk to anybody else. He's one that checks on me while I check on him. And we found a great love and respect for one another. So I think that's kind of ironic how things have played out. Well, I didn't mean to take up so much time. Again, I know some of it is babble, but I think you all know where my heart is. Know where my heart and regain contact with people. With that same crew of 15, what we called ourselves was the house gang crew. I was kind of an honorary member because they started it before I got there. But with the house gang crew, it was just a bunch of boys just enjoying themselves, playing basketball, DJing and MCing at the height of at the early stages of hip hop. It was a lot of fun. And so he lost contact on and off with a lot of those brothers as well. But none of us never strayed too far away from the other. Well, fast forward many years later, or maybe I shouldn't fast forward just yet. Well, in the midst of all of this basketball thing, he played on several teams pretty good, and he developed his basketball family. And we get that. Not many of us went on to play collegiately or anything like that. So what's going on, good people? As usual, my mind starts racing. I decide to record it, and hopefully somebody will hear it and it'll help someone. So I posted a video recently about a childhood friend of mine who's terminally ill and how bad it made me feel. It made me feel, I felt worse because I didn't find out about his situation until he fell ill enough that he had to be admitted into the hospital. He is suffering from what started out as throat cancer, turned into bone cancer, and is now brain cancer. He's in hospice, so there's no chance of recovery at this point. I saw him 2 days last week, and this cancer onset 7 years ago. And when different members of the House Gang crew is having conversations with them about my buddy and his life, they're looking totally surprised at the fact that we only found out a week or so ago. They're in shock that he never told us. And we're in just as big a shock that they knew all this time. In my last video, I said how I was so disappointed that I wasn't able to spend some quality time with him through this process. And it doubles that hurt in me, because now I know some guys that actually knew me were able to do exactly what we wanted to do. We should have been able to do. I should have been able to do. It's bothersome, and I can go on and on about how we feel about it, but I think we understood, and we knew those guys as well. And I don't want to go through an entire life timeline of his, but where I'm going with this is we realized that he had two separate, as we call, families. He had the childhood friends and family, and then he had the basketball friends and family. And we all mixed in the same circle, so it's not like anyone was strangers to the other. But what we're realizing is, and when I say we, well, actually on both sides, and speaking to some of the other guys, is he really kept us separate, and he kept us in the dark about a lot of things. The House Gang crew is hurt, and there is some anger and there's some animosity. We have to admit to that. But we're hurt because the basketball family, and this is no disrespect to them, it's not their fault, they had nothing to do with this. We love a lot of those guys. They knew about, and plan on going to see them again a few more times. But here's what the thing is. So growing up, there was a crew of us, maybe about 15 boys, all within 5-year, 6-year age range of one another. So happened I was the youngest, and me and his brother were closer than close can get. He's actually been my friend, as I said in the last video, for my entire life, minus 3 years. And we were inseparable for many years. And then life came along, and marriage and children and jobs and moving and all those kind of things. And we kind of split from one another, never losing contact. And then we regained that contact and started hanging out again for a bit. And this wasn't exclusive to me, how he would lose contact. It is, and can decipher whatever I've said to this point. Peace and blessings. That's the stark naked truth.